So you didn't start nachoing because the kids were bad. It was because of bio mom and because you were overwhelmed with the responsibilities that you took on as a step parent.
Yeah. The kids were a little like their behavior was a little out of hand in the beginning,
Hmm.
but I never like I've never raised my voice at them. I've never done anything to make them feel something, but I think it's just because I'm a person where I'm just like, I'm not going to deal with it.
You're listening to the Nacho Kids podcast, where we discuss all things step family related. Real stories, real people, real help. Your hosts are the creators of the Nacho Kids Method and the Nacho Kids Academy Step Family Coaching Team, Lori and David Sims.
Welcome to episode 271 of the Nacho Kids podcast. Before I forget, our Nacho Kids Guided Change Your Thinking Stinking Challenge is coming up in September. Be on the lookout on our social media. Limit 20 people. You don't want to miss this, y'all. It's really good. Okay, y'all, the link for the Nacho Kids Guided Boot Camp Challenge is nachokids.com/bootcamp. Registration is from August the 8th through August the 10th, and the program starts August the 12th. Today, our guest is an anonymous stepmom. She's been blending for 3.5 years, has 2 stepkids, one of which is not her husband's bio kid, and one ours kid. The hardest part of her blending is bio mom. Her best advice is from me, not to parent the kids, let the bio parent be the parent. All right, y'all, let's get to listening. Today, we have an anonymous stepmom. Hey, anonymous stepmom, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. So tell us a little bit about your blend.
My husband and I have been married for almost a year, but we were dating. So altogether, it's been about 3 years. We were dating for about 2 years before we got married. I have 2 step kids and then one bio daughter, and she is 2 in November.
Okay.
So yeah, we do week on, week off with the step kids.
And how old are the stepkids?
So they're 2 boys. They're
Okay.
14 and 11.
Okay.
Yeah, so close in age.
Your bio daughter is with your partner now, so she's an ours kid.
She is. She
Okay.
is. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. hmm
And you said you have them week on, week off.
Yeah, week on, week off. It's been a journey, let's put it that way. And I mean, we've made progress, I guess, in regards to it not being so, for lack of a better word, toxic. But that's simply because, honestly, sometimes I feel like it's literally because I'm in the picture. A lot has changed, meaning communication with biomom, because that initially was, oh my goodness, I really could write a book. But yeah, it's gotten like to the point we're at now, it's basically communication through email for the most part because it's gotten so bad at certain times.
Okay, so walk us through that.
hmm
You meet your man.
Yep. So we met, like I said, so probably met about, yeah, almost 4 years ago. So I'm from a very small place, very small island, and everyone kind of knows each other, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I had one of my friends, it was a mutual friend who connected us. And, I said, all right, I'll give it a try. I had heard things just about what that situation was like, but I kind of said, all right, I'll see for myself, not trying to judge the situation before I'm in it. So yeah, we started dating a little bit. He never really said how bad it was.
Of
um,
course not. He didn't want to run you off.
yeah, he never really said how bad it was. And initially, I wasn't around the kids so much because the type of work he was doing, and then like I said, he did have this schedule with them. So a lot of times we just spent time when he didn't have them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Later on, she kind of, I guess, found out before he could even tell her. And I mean, it just hit the fan from there. We just hit the ground running. And I mean, phone calls, the threats. Oh my gosh, it's been a journey. I feel like she may even have some issues. But anyway, at some point she even tried to be cordial with me. At one point she had my number, and she would talk to me and be like, hey, this is what's going on. She was trying. I feel like she was trying, and I also think it was because she also had someone at the time that I initially came around. So I think it was kind of trying to paint this picture of like, oh, we're all going to just be this one big happy family.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't last very long. The niceness or her situation. So, I mean, again, it's always up and down. Literally, even to this day, it's always up and down. And then, I mean, just an example of how crazy it is. She happened to work at the hospital that I was going to, and I was pregnant, and was like telling people that I was pregnant before I was even pregnant. Before I even tell people, sorry, that I was pregnant.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which is actually like, it's technically illegal, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, HIPAA violation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a thing. I mean, it's been times where we've had to keep them for extended periods of time because she said that she couldn't keep them. I mean, I've been called all sorts of names. I don't need her. This is before we're engaged. I don't need her playing stepmom to my kids. Now here we are.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I was pregnant, just the drama of every little thing was an issue. And I kind of sometimes the only thing I wish I did was kind of stand up for myself a little bit, because I think in the beginning I wanted to keep the peace so bad that I kind of would just brush things off or just ignore it. And I think it kind of, I mean, now we're to the point where there's no communication, like between her and I, zero. If we saw each other in the street, we just walk across each other. But it's just, and I think that's the only reason I've kind of got some, I guess, peace, but I don't even know if it's peace, because it's ongoing again. My husband does majority everything financially for them. And, he's been called all sorts and made out to be this person. And I am like, what world do you live in? But people who know, you know what I mean? But
Right.
it's been a journey.
So what's her issue with you? Do you know?
So I've actually gone to I've had to literally seek counseling for myself for this. And I just think that based on events and counseling, it's just because I came in the picture. I'm nothing like her. Let's put it that way. I
Right.
complete opposite. I'm not volatile. I'm not a chaotic person. Her kids, for the most part, they like me. I think the issue is that there is no issue, if you know what I mean.
Right.
She wants there to be an issue. She wants to be able to say to him, oh, your wife this, or your wife that, or she did this. Because just little things in the past, she'll say, oh, the kids told me that she told them not to run in the house. They're kids. And I'm
Right.
like you would tell your own kids not to run in the house. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think also a big part is when I started listening to your podcast, Lori, I literally I told my husband right away. I was just like, I am really this method just might be it for me. So have really started, and I think that it did cause a bit of strife for us in the beginning, because I feel like I did a lot in the beginning, Lori, a lot. And at the
Right.
time, I was doing shift work. So I had them a lot of the time. I was taking them to school, picking them up, feeding them dinner. And he finally got a new job. And I think that he just was like, whoa, this is a drastic change. I've just kind of relinquished a lot of I'm not telling your kids to get a bath anymore. I'm not, just because I felt like it was stressful. You know what I mean? And the kids, they were never rude, but it was always something from her, or I don't need her to tell them. So I just said, you know what? Well, you guys are the parents, so I'm just going to leave it at that.
Right.
Yeah.
So you
But
were,
I don't know.
I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
You were very involved in the beginning,
Very involved.
and then
Yeah.
you decided to nacho.
Yep.
And you said that caused a little bit of strife in the beginning. Is it
Yeah.
because you put all this back on your partner to take
Yes.
care of?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
I mean, I was getting up in the morning, packing lunches, even when he was having off days sometimes. And I was just like, what am I doing? I'm this is too much.
right. Now, did you talk to him about you making these changes ahead of time? Did you say, I need to step back from making lunches in the morning. For instance, when you're here, you can make the lunches.
I didn't say it so politely.
What did you
Um,
say? Tell us, tell us.
I think I was more like, okay, like these are your kids. Like I'm not doing this anymore. Like, oh, I'll say you can help me. Like, you know what I mean? Instead of saying I should have approached it a bit better. Like, okay, come on. I think we need to revisit how things are being done. This is probably how I should have said it, but I didn't. And I would wait till I would get really frustrated. And then I'd be like, I'm not your parent. So yeah, I think it was just more, honestly, it was probably more action in the beginning. And then
Mhm.
he would be like, what's going on? Like, why aren't you doing this? Or he says it even now to this day. He'll be like, you used to help me a lot more. And I'm just like, yeah, but it just caused me so much stress and you feel unappreciated and all the things, the feelings that you want, like the feelings you feel or the feelings you shouldn't feel, because I mean, at the end of the day, they're not your kids. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes.
So,
And
but
the thing is,
yeah,
I can see it being kind of stressful for him when he has to do everything.
yeah.
But at the same time, you're not doing it to hurt him. You're doing it
No,
to help you.
yeah, yep, yeah. And I think he struggles with seeing it as it's helping me to be better for like our marriage. And I mean, like going forward a bit, once I had my daughter, oh man, that changed everything. That changed everything. And it just meaning she became my priority.
Right.
So a lot of times I'm like, if they're not going to do this, I am not stressing myself over it. Like, in the mornings, like a lot of times I'm literally like just focused on her. And first of all, she's a toddler, so we know what that's like. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They're all over the place. It's a production just to get out of the house. And I'm just like, your kids are old enough to do a lot of stuff on their own. And I think that was my issue too. I felt like when I was helping a lot, I was trying to get them to be more independent. And I'm like, I'm not babying them. I'm not
Right.
babying them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been like a drastic change, probably more so since my daughter has been around.
When you started dating him and he
Yeah.
had kids, did that concern you at all?
Lori, if I'm telling you the truth, I said, I don't know if I want to. So I used to tell myself that I didn't want to date anyone with kids.
Uh-huh.
I literally said that to myself. I'm like, I didn't have a kid at the time. And I was just like, I don't know if I want that. And even when we were in the beginning, I was like, I don't know. And I guess, us just spending time together. Although there were a lot of times I'm like, I did question, like, of course, is this worth it when this woman's blowing up my phone and threatening me and calling me names? I'm like, maybe this isn't worth it. But, at the end of the day, my husband is a really good person. Like, he is not a bad person. He does a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say this. So, just to give you some perspective, one of the kids is not his biological child,
Okay. Which one? The oldest?
the oldest.
Okay.
And he was with her. So, he took on that child. That child is that is his child. And we don't say anything else, and
Right.
he calls him daddy. And he doesn't know anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But just saying all that to say, when she would try and make him to be this terrible person, I'm like, well, how terrible could he be if he's doing all of this? Both of the kids are in private school, fully funded by my husband.
Right.
So
Now
yeah,
the kid doesn't know he's not dad, or he does?
it's such a weird. Like she makes it like he knows, but to him, I don't think he fully grasped the concept of what that means.
Okay.
In my opinion, like it's come up maybe once since I've been in the picture, and I don't know what happened before me, but I don't really think I don't think he understands what that means.
Right.
They don't like, I don't know, they like talking about emotions. I'm so big on that, and how we feel about things, and let's talk through it. And like that older one, he's very just to himself and doesn't say much. So I
Yeah.
don't know what he thinks in his head.
So how long was he with his ex?
They were together for about 6 years.
Okay.
6 years.
So he is, I guess the other dad's not in the picture at all?
Nope.
Okay.
I couldn't even tell you anything about him or anything. So
Okay.
no. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure my husband was in the picture from like when he was about like 2.
Oh, okay. So they were
Yeah.
together a while before they got married or whatever?
They were never married.
Okay.
They were just together, I guess. And she got pregnant really fast when they start dating, because that's why the kids are like 2 years apart themselves. Well, 3, maybe, something
Right.
like that. They're very close in age.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So what about the first time you met these kids?
They were very, like, almost like scared to meet me, which I think was because of her.
Right.
Because she's very, and for in the beginning, I know it was, oh, was she at your dad's house, or what did you do, or does she stay there, or like, you know what I mean? Like, she's very, she will grow them to get all the information that she can. So yeah, they were they were young, because when I think about it, like the youngest one, he was like 8 and 8, 9, yeah, because I think he might be 12 actually. Yeah, I think he was even 12, but. Yeah, they were very like reserved, but they kind of came around. Like, even the younger one, he definitely, I can say that he likes me, you know what I mean? So he'll come and talk to me about certain things. And I think that really bothered her, that they just didn't have any real issue with me. But in the beginning, if I was trying to tell them what to do or brush your teeth or something like that, they would use her as a weapon. I'm gonna tell mommy. I'm gonna tell mommy, like that type of thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Would they would say that to you?
Yeah. Like, if I would say, you need, like, one time one of them was being really rude to their dad. And I said, that's not nice. You shouldn't talk to your daddy like that. That's very rude. I said, if I talked to my parents like that at your age, I would have got in trouble. He'll like look at me and just, I'm telling mommy. I don't know what you're going to tell her, because I'm telling you to be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. They used to, especially the younger one. The oldest one, not so much. But the younger one, they definitely used to use her as a weapon a lot. And they know the reaction they get from her. They knew.
Right. Okay. So you meet them. Did you ever meet her? How did she get your phone number?
I'd like to know to this day, Lori.
Oh,
Yeah.
probably
I'd like
Google.
to know to this day. Somewhere. I don't know. But the initial meeting, yes, there was one. She came to the house to drop them or pick them up or something. I don't know. And it was very much, hi, I don't need you correcting my kids. I don't need you you can tell their dad and he'll tell me, or that's it. Like, it wasn't polite, it wasn't friendly, nothing.
Yeah.
That's all it was. And I didn't say anything. Again, I just think I was very much like, I didn't want to be the one to cause conflict, because I never wanted her to be able to say anything about me. But again, I do wish I kind of stood up for myself a little bit in certain situations.
Right. Now, did you meet her in person, or she just started attacking you by phone?
That was in person. So that was in person, but she had gotten my number before that. And that's what I'm trying to say when I say up and down. She had gotten my number before that and was blowing up my phone because she heard that we were dating. But I did not.
Oh.
And he had told me, he had called me, we weren't living together or anything like that. And he was like, look, she's gonna call you. You don't need to answer. But I mean, when I just say, she would just blow my phone up for anything. She would message me if she didn't like something he said, and then we start living together. Oh my gosh, it was like, so what, you two live together now? I don't need you playing stepmom to my kids. And sometimes I don't even know how I lived this.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know how I even survived it, but yeah.
Wow. Yeah,
Mhm.
that would have pushed most people away.
Yeah, it would have.
Well,
It
you know
really
what?
would.
As I say that, I take that back, because a lot of women, when there is the high conflict ex, it's
Yeah.
one of those, you're not going to push me away. I'm going to
Yeah.
stick it out. No matter how
Yeah.
crazy you are, I'm going to be here.
I know. And I think mine was really, and that's why I tell people I really must love my husband, because I'm not that person, Lori. Like, I will, even before him, that's what I always told him. I'm like, if you knew me, like, I would drop you in it real quick. It took nothing for you to do something that turned me off or something like that. But the fact that I stuck it out with him through all of that, like, I amaze myself sometimes that I
Uh-huh.
was able to endure. So yeah, I don't know. And she's said stuff to me. She's even called me and apologized to me before, and then turn right around, Lori, and do the same thing again.
Is she, and I don't want to throw around medical terms and us try to diagnose her. Do you think she's bipolar or just
I think
moody? Because there's a difference.
I think it might be a little bit of something going on there.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely do. And yeah, I definitely do. Let's put it that way.
So you decided to, I'm blocking her. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
responding to her. And
Yep.
how long ago did you decide to do that?
I'm trying to think what was it that made that actually happen? Because it's been so much stuff. But it was over a year ago because it was, or 2 years ago, because it was before I had my daughter. So, and I just remember saying, I'm not dealing with this no more. Like, the funny, and I just go back, sorry, I'm just going back really quick. And I'm thinking about even the first time I watched them on my own, I messaged her and asked her if it was okay. Again, just
For
trying to
you to
create
watch
that.
them on your own.
Yeah, like he was going to work, and I just wanted, just trying to make sure that she can understand that, like, you're their mom. I respect who you are as their mother. Like, I'm not trying to be their mom. Like, just trying to create a safe, you know what I mean? But it
Right.
didn't work. And in the moment, she was very, oh, yes, it's fine. Go ahead. I have no problem with that. But then it was, oh, I didn't mean every single time. So anyway.
Yeah.
It's just, but yeah, so I blocked her. Yeah, it was probably about over 2 years ago. And yeah, she had all sorts of issues. Oh, what have I ever done to her? And what does she have me blocked for? You've made her block me. Keep in mind, like my husband, he doesn't deal with these high conflict situations very well at all. So we've had to like I said, we've now digressed to email, which is so much better because she'll do the same thing to him. If she couldn't get him, he'd have 40 missed calls on his phone, threatening that she's going to come to his job and do this and do that.
Mm-hmm. What?
And yeah, she's threatened everyone. Mom, his dad, me, everybody gets threatened.
Why did they split up?
Ironically, I think that she ended it.
I'm not surprised. That happens a lot.
But it confused me so much because I'm like, if you weren't happy, then like, why are you so mad that he's moved on now?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the part I can, and I always said to him like, well, how did you? It's like, oh, the kids were always throwing in my face, and I'm like, nothing could have made me deal with that. I'm sorry. I mean, we say that, but here I am, so I take that back.
Yeah, yeah.
I take that back. But yeah, I'm pretty. Yeah, I think that she did, and then yeah, she moved on. When I came into the picture, she had someone,
Okay.
not for very long, but she had someone and he seemed like a really nice guy, actually, if I'm being honest. So I was kind of confused because I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. But I soon realized that he figured it out too. And he said bye.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it wasn't very long. Yeah, like, I mean, I wasn't even around a year yet before they broke up. And then I don't know if she's dating anyone now. I am so removed from her now that I wouldn't even know if she's dating anyone.
Well, it's interesting. A lot of times the high conflict ex is the
Mhm.
one that ended the relationship.
Yeah,
And they regret that. And so they torture the new girl.
pretty much. Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. Pretty much. Like I think she just cannot even fathom the fact, especially now that we're married. Like, she can she's like she can't believe it. You know what I mean? It's almost like she didn't think that he'd be able to find someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, everything about it just I don't know. I don't know. I'm like, this is a crazy situation. And I struggle because the youngest one looks just like
Yeah, that makes it harder.
like, I mean, nothing like my husband at all in the video.
And you have to tell yourself when you look at that child, this is a child. This isn't by a mom.
Lori, I struggle with that to this day. Like, I struggle with that to this day. I have like literally, even in some of my sessions, like it's literally a thing where she's like, you have to separate him from his mom. He's not his mom.
Right.
And I'm trying, but it's hard.
What might help you is when you have those thoughts come in your head, have a rubber band on your wrist and pop it, to remind yourself to stop.
Yeah.
And just even if you have to say it in your head 100 times, just remind yourself, he is a child. He is not by a mom. He may act like her and he may look like her, but he is still not her.
Yeah. Yeah. So hard to tell yourself that in the moment.
I know. It's very hard.
So hard to tell yourself that in the moment. Yeah, but that's like I struggle. Like I even just, it's little things now, even I notice a lot of times when they come, I'm kind of just on the move because I just cannot be like confined to the house.
So what about when she found out you were pregnant? Did things get worse?
Oh my gosh. That was on top of the fact that she was telling people that I was pregnant without even me telling people. Again, like it was, first it was the kids aren't going to be around this child. That's always the threat. The threat is always that she's going to keep the kids, but she never does it. She always threatens to keep the kids, but she's not going to do that because like I hate to say it, but she needs him. She needs his money. She needs his, you know what I mean? Like I hate to put it in that context, but she needs him.
Right.
She literally, I don't think she would be capable of taking care of them on her own. But yes, when she found out I was pregnant, she was irate and sending all sorts of messages and, oh, I'm your other kid's mom and this, that, and the other. And I just think that made her so angry because I feel like she just always felt like she had something over me because she had his kids. As a matter of fact, when we were dating, she said, I hope she don't want to have kids with you.
Really?
Yep.
So what about when you got pregnant and as far as the kids?
Yeah.
When y'all told them? Or I guess she probably told them before y'all did.
I think she did. But they weren't very, like, they didn't have much emotion towards it. Like, it was just, and that kind of got me a little irritated too, because I'm like, I don't want to have a child in this type of situation. Like, they just didn't know how to react to it, I guess. The older one, he, even to this day, like, he just can't really be bothered with her. But the younger one, I think he's definitely like, likes having a little sister, but they didn't want to talk about it. They didn't want to talk about being pregnant. They didn't, or like even just seeing the belly, like they just didn't want to talk about it.
Right. They never asked questions. They never said, we're unhappy about this or we're excited about this. Just nothing.
Nothing. Nothing, nothing, nothing. And again, the younger one only really started showing excitement when she was born. And I think it's because he could literally actually see this little person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Right.
yep, there was nothing. There was literally nothing.
Now, what about now?
The older one, again, he doesn't even really say anything. Like he says, like he'll just be in the house. Even when she says hi, he'll just look at her. The younger one, again, he definitely likes to interact with her. He'll be like, hi, or like try and play with her toys and stuff like that. But the older one really shows no emotion whatsoever. Like he doesn't even say hi, like I said, unless we say hi.
So is he like that with everybody?
Yeah, kind of. He's
Just a very quiet child.
quiet in his room on his iPad. He doesn't really say too much. He'll speak, like if I come in the house, he'll be polite, like, but for the most part, like you really he don't hear anything. He doesn't really like to do anything. That's just who he is. I've been concerned about it in the past, I won't lie. And I've voiced those concerns to his dad.
Right.
But I don't know. Again, I just had to tell myself sometimes, it's not my kid.
Yep. Not your kid.
Not my kid. So
Yeah.
it's just such a drastic difference because he is like reserved, wants nothing really to do with anyone. And then the younger one, he craves attention. Like craves it.
Wow.
Like craves it. He wants to be in your face 24/7. He's always trying to be up. He comes to the door. What you doing? He tells you, like he's constantly, sometimes it's a little frustrating, like because it's just constantly in your face 24/7. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I mean. Like they're like night and day, literally.
Yeah.
You could literally not see the oldest one for a whole day. The youngest one you see him about 50 times, I guarantee.
Is your husband different with his first kids than your daughter? Like even with the age difference, do you see him maybe being stricter on her?
No. I think his I want to say he's pretty good with not being different with either of them. I think he really like loves the fact that he has a daughter.
Uh-huh.
So he's just so infatuated with her. But I mean, he still, I feel like, puts in a lot of time with the other kids. I mean, the younger one mostly, only because, like I said, the oldest one doesn't really want to do anything, but like he'll do stuff with the younger one. But no, I don't think he is different with them, if I'm being honest.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, I will say that. I definitely think he just treats, like, mostly it's just a dad who's like it's his little girl. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
because
that's what it is.
we see it a lot where the bio parents for the ours kid are stricter with the ours kid than the step kids.
Right. Yeah.
But with her being a girl,
Yes.
yeah.
But I think I've also kind of set a standard. I've also, and two, it's a benefit, like it's good and it's bad, because I am really, probably too much, if I'm being honest, like really overprotective of her.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, even when it comes to the other kids, I'm just like careful of what they say around her. Like initially when she was younger, I didn't really like, and that wasn't even just them, like period, just people like holding her all the time. Like she's just my little baby. And sometimes I know that I look at it as a situation as I can't control anything else in this situation, but if I can control what my baby is subjected to, that's the one thing that I'll control. I'm not trying to control her life, but while she's this little, like I'm gonna try and keep her as safe as I can. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think dad knows that. So he's like, yeah, we're not gonna mess with Mama Bear.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know I can probably do a little better with it sometimes, because I know I can be a little over the top, but she's just
Right.
my little baby. Probably the only one I'll ever have.
Well, I tell you, and anybody that listens to our podcast knows my baby is 19 years old, and he is my priority. I love him with
Yeah.
all of my heart. And I know at some point he's going to move out and my heart will
Yeah.
be broken. It's hard enough now when he goes on vacation without me or something. I'm like, no, don't leave me. So how long ago did you start stepping back and nachoing?
It was probably right shortly after, it was probably right after my daughter was, no, while I was pregnant, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, while I was pregnant. One, because it probably forced me, but I'm trying to think when I first found your podcast, because that's what really made me feel like, okay, I'm not getting crazy for feeling like I shouldn't have to do certain things. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I want to say, yeah, it was probably while I was pregnant, because I feel like right up until there were certain areas where I could fully step back and there were other areas where I couldn't. So while he was still doing shift work, the kids still had to get to school. They still had to, like, it's certain things where it was like, okay, well, what else can I do? Because I think before I was in, not I think, I know, before I was in the picture, his mom used to do that.
Right.
His mom was like, basically when he was doing his shift work, she'd basically like just stay with him and help him.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I came into the picture, I kind of took over. I went like full steam ahead, and then I kind of was like trying to slam on brakes afterwards.
Yeah.
I'm
Whoa,
like,
I made a
oh my God.
mistake. Emergency brake,
Yeah.
emergency brake.
Like, what did I sign up for? So yeah, that's what I did. So yeah, it was probably around the time I was pregnant, because I just think I was just like, this is too much. I was taking him to school every day. And then after I had her, I'll tell you what it was to what really forced my hand. So the day that I brought my baby home from the hospital, Baya mom came to the house. I think
Came
she
to
was
your
supposed to.
house?
She didn't come in.
Okay.
She's never come. She's literally come in, I think, once in the very beginning when we were trying to all be cordial and we had a birthday party, but that was it.
Okay.
And I mean, that was early days. But yeah, so the day I brought my baby home, and keep in mind, I had a very traumatic childbirth. I had to get 2 blood transfusions. Like, it was very scary.
Oh, goodness.
So yes, came home. She was supposed to come, I don't know, and take one of the kids somewhere. Anyways, he must have just said, look, kids are going to my mom's for a night or two, right? Even if I had my own kids. And that's what I think where we were both kind of like, even if like we had our own child, like we may just send the kid to one of our parents' house just the first 2 nights with a newborn, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, they're not staying there. Keeping in mind, we had them, supposed to be doing week on, week off. We had them for like a month because she was going through some difficulties.
Mm-hmm.
And well, they all went to shambles because she was mad and literally tried to physically fight my husband. We had to call the police. We got a restraining order, which still stands to this day. So I don't know how I skipped that part, Lori. But yes,
Yeah, you skipped the best part.
that was the main event. And that just sent it all, like from that point on. As a matter of fact, yeah, that's when we were officially on email. We were trying to do email before, but after that, that's when we were like, yep, that's it, we're done. So email it is. No more coming to the house for pickups. It's always at a mutual location, the schools or something like that. And all communication cut off.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was a very traumatic. And I think one time I was going to counseling because I was just feeling like I can't, like I don't know what's wrong with me. And she literally was like, you have a form of like PTSD. It's probably, you're like, we're not saying you're someone who went to war, but it's a form of it. That was a very fragile time in your life. Like she told me that was such a fragile time in my life. You had just given birth. You came home with your new baby, and that's what you had to deal with.
Right. Well,
So
PTSD, it can happen with anything.
exactly.
It can be a car wreck. It can be domestic violence.
Yep.
Anything that
Absolutely.
happens to us that's traumatic,
Mm-hmm.
it is stored in our body to try to protect us if it starts to happen again.
Exactly. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
If y'all have the kids
Yeah.
okay, say she has the kids and she needs to contact y'all for an emergency. She can still call you.
She can still call, or a lot of times she'll like, because how they mostly communicate is like using the iPads.
Uh-huh.
So she'll like call the kids' iPads, or sorry, use like the kids will call their dad, and if she has something to say, then she'll say it there. But for the most part, yeah, that's all
Well,
it
what
is.
if she needs to get in touch with dad?
She'll, like I said, or she always will call. She finds a way, or she'll call off of it. She finds a way. She finds a way.
Okay. She's
Yeah.
very
Resourceful.
yeah, there you go, resourceful. Yeah.
She finds a way. Yeah. And I'm trying to think of a situation where she really had to. Yeah, a lot of times, like even if the kids are with us and something's like, she'll call them and she'll be like, let me speak to your dad, like that type of thing.
Right.
But I don't think anything's really happened where she's had to, yeah. Or like even in a situation, she'll email and say, oh, I need to talk to you. Can you call me? And he'll call her right away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it had like it really like has. I'm trying to think where did I hear the email thing from? Someone that told me about that, or probably listening to a podcast or something. And I was just like, this is what we need to do, because it kind of creates a boundary. And we had to have those boundaries because it was getting so bad. You know what I mean? Like it was, that outside entity was just protruding into our everyday life. And it
Right.
was just miserable. Like it was just, that was all we were just always at odds about it, or we try not to talk about it, but it was like the elephant in the room. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you didn't start nachoing because the kids were bad. It was because of Biomom and because you were overwhelmed with the responsibilities that you took on as a step parent.
Yeah. The kids were a little, like their behavior was a little out of hand in the beginning, but I never like I've never raised my voice at them. I've never done anything to make them feel something, but I think it's just because I'm a person where I'm just like, I'm not going to deal with it. So, on the odd occasion, especially when they were a little younger, they've gotten a lot better with it now. I will admit that. But if they were shouting or being rude, because they were when they were younger, but it may have just been the age, I would be like, you're not going to talk to me like that. And I would literally just be like, tell their dad to deal with it, or I just remove myself from the situation.
Right.
So I think it kind of showed them like, oh, wow, like she's really not going to deal with that. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
So versus me sitting there arguing with them or having a shouting match, so which I'm like, I'm
Yes.
not having a shouting match with a 9-year-old.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So
and
I
even
think
if you're not showing, if the child speaks to you disrespectfully, you have every right to say, you don't talk to me like that, and walk
exactly.
off. The thing
Hmm.
is, you can say that because it's to you,
Yeah.
but you're not addressing punishment.
Right. Exactly.
You're
Yeah.
not saying,
Yeah.
you don't talk to me like that. Give me your phone. You're on restriction
Yeah.
for 2 days or whatever. You just say,
Yeah.
you don't talk to me like that, and then
Hmm.
walk away.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I've just like always been like that. Like I do not do well with disrespect, which is why, and I just mean that across the board, whether it's an adult, a child. So I think that is even just with not communicating, like cutting off communication with her. I just got tired of the disrespect because
Hmm.
I was always respectful of her.
Right.
Even when she was making off and calling me names and all sorts of stuff, I was always respectful. Like that was very important to me because I was raised that way. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, I just feel like I always try to be very respectful. So I'm like, you know what? I don't need to be subject to this. I am married to you, and that's it.
Yeah.
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 So
And has your husband, is he still okay with you not showing, or he still wishes you would pick up more responsibility?
I
Because,
think he wish he would do more sometimes.
well, here's the thing. You can nacho, but still
Hmm.
help him, but it depends on what you want to do. So
Yeah.
if a lot of parents or a lot of step parents will say, I feel guilty for not showing because my partner's all stressed out. Well, if you see your partner's getting ready to go to work and they're having trouble getting their kid out the door, you can take their keys and their briefcase or whatever and sit it at the door for them. That's helping
Right.
them
Yeah. Yeah.
without interfering with the child.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're in a decent place with the kid
Hmm.
and you say, I'll help get little Johnny ready today
Yeah.
because you seem to be a little stressed, let me help. But you need to be clear that you don't automatically jump into doing it every day, because then you end up back where you were.
Yes. And I think that was probably where I struggled too, because on the odd occasion where I may, like, I think it was just, oh, she's doing it again, finally. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Versus like, I'm just helping you today because I see things are a little crazy.
Yep. Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
easy to fall back into it because you want to help.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So true.
Yeah. But you have to
True.
remember that you can only take on so much.
Yeah.
And that's his child or his
Hmm.
children.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on our podcast.
Thank you for having me.
And I'm really proud of you for the work you've done. And your husband may still be a little stressed, but being a parent of 2 kids is stressful.
Yeah, exactly. That's so true.
And if we look at it, and everybody wants to talk about fair all the time, things have to be
Mm-hmm.
fair. Well, in all fairness, they're not your kids.
Mm-hmm.
In
Mm-hmm.
all fairness, if you weren't there, he would have to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
In all
Yep.
fairness, if he can't handle it, he shouldn't get them as much,
Yeah.
because it's not fair to put that responsibility on you. Why should you have to carry more stress and responsibility of raising somebody else's kids than they do?
Yep. Exactly.
Now, I will say on top of that, though, we know a lot of stay-at-home moms.
Yes. Yes. And that's completely different. Yeah.
Right. But we have to add that in there because some people say, well, no, my husband makes all the money and I stay at home. Well, that's a completely different story.
Yeah.
That's
I
a
do
different
not,
situation.
I am not a stay-at-home mom. I have a full-time job.
Uh-huh.
I work every single day, Monday to Friday. So
Yeah. Yep.
yeah.
Well, what is one piece of advice that you would give our listeners for somebody that is getting ready to get into a blend with someone that has kids?
I would say to really get to know the situation firsthand, like get all the ins and outs of the situation. And while people always say don't get to know someone's past, when someone has kids, the past plays a part in the present. So I would say get to know the situation, and really and truly take time to decide if it's the life for you. Because it very well may be. It may be great and turn out to be beautiful, but it's going to be challenges. And you just have to really make sure that you know that this is the life that you want for yourself.
And how do you, in hindsight, how could you have gotten to know the situation better?
I probably could have just asked a lot more questions
Yes.
about the co-parenting situation. What was it like before? How did it get to this arrangement? Like, just questions that, a lot of times you don't want to ruffle feathers, or if the person doesn't feel comfortable talking about it, you're like, well, I'll just leave it alone. But no, make them uncomfortable.
Yes.
Make them uncomfortable.
Yeah, because you need to know what's going on. You don't want to think things are okay. Yeah, they're not perfect, but things are okay. And then all of a sudden, bam, you didn't tell me she was crazy until she showed up at the door with a gun.
Exactly. Yep. Get to know as much as you can before you decide to commit.
Right. Yes. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for being a guest, and stay in touch and let us know how things are going, because I'm curious to see in a few years if your husband is stricter with her than them. Well, I didn't ask you this. Let me ask you this real fast.
Yeah.
Does he have guilty parent syndrome or no?
Yes.
Okay. So yes, I definitely want to have you back to know if he is stricter with her, even though she's a girl.
Yeah.
When she gets a little bit older and gets a little mouthier and a little sassier.
Yep. And she's sassy already.
Yep. So you make a note to come back.
Yes, ma'am. Will do.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
As Anonymous Stepmom said, when she added an hours kid to their stepfamily, things changed. We hear that all the time. With a major life change, it tends to reset the blend. So be aware of that, whether it's you're moving in, you're getting married, adding a kid, job changes, shift changes, things like that can easily reset the blend. All right, y'all, that's all we have for today. And we will see you next week. And until then, remember, life is good when you nacho.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Nacho Kids Podcast. Find us online at nachokids.com. Until next time, remember, life is good when you nacho.